From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production, the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by my man, Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Jeff Dawson.
What's up, world? It is time for the NFL Bet Exchange with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the man himself, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. What's going on, sir? Good day to you. It's another Thursday, so that means that the NFL is kicking off today, and it's week 4. Man, we are going through this season very quickly.
We're already at the quarter pole, and the quarter pole's here. It's been a great start for both of us. Kind of funny following the games last week, counting Thursday. I got off to the opposite start. I was 9-1 to start, kind of fizzled at the end, took a few swings at a few money lines. One came in, but overall, still hitting over 65%. Happy and excited for this week, Pops.
Yes, sir. And real quick, let's go look into it. Me and Jeff finished in the same category. Those stinky Colts +5 messed me up. Ravens messed me up. Washington messed me up. But, pretty much we did get every dog that I put on in the group home in this group. And we also hit the 42-1 dog day pick 4 as well. So pretty happy about that. The Eagles were a big disappointment, but it's all good. Then Jeff comes back around and he has, like he said to you guys before, he absolutely was destroying to start the day. And then the second half of the day, just like me the last 2 weeks prior to this, you run into the buzzsaws of the afternoon games that can go any way that they want to. I understand.
The big disappointment, we nailed the Packers plus the 150 late, but the Dolphins jumped out 14-0. They covered the spread. We did cash at ECSI on the Dolphins plus the 3.5 or 4, but again, could have nailed the plus 160 there. So combine that with the Packers, would have got plus 310. But it is what it is, as you say. For the year, we're killing it. So we're excited about this week, Pops.
All right, so let's go ahead and jump into tonight's game, and that's going to be the Thursday night football game tonight. So pretty much we have ourselves a really, really good game here. So Thursday night football, well, it's not really a good game, but it's a game where it got the NFL's youth on display. You got the Jaguars coming here, of course, a big dog in this game, led by Trevor Lawrence, and you got the Bengals minus 357.5. Bengals haven't been this heavy of a favorite in I think the last 3 or 4 years, to be honest with you. Andy Dalton was still the quarterback at this point when they had a spread like this. They were still going to the playoffs and everything like that when they got a spread like this. So this is new territory for them. And sometimes when I see this, I think a team's a little bit overvalued. And I think today that could be the case. But all in all, though, the Jaguars are going to need some time as well, too. Let me just run some notes real quick, Jeff, and then I'm going to let you take the stage for this one. Now, we have the Jaguars coming in here 0-3. Lawrence has a 54.2 completion rate, 669 passing yards, 5 touchdowns to 7 interceptions, 60.3 QB rating. That's good for 27th in the league right now. So he's not better than 26 other quarterbacks when it comes to stats, but when it comes to leadership, though, he might be top 10 because he's taking it all in with the grain of salt. They're allowing 30 points per game. This defense is much softer than what you expected. They're not scoring enough. 17.7 points per game. It's 27th. And here goes a key stat as well, too, Joe. Since after week 1 of 2020, this team is 0-18 straight up. And they're 0-3 against the spread to start the year off as well, too. So, the Jaguars have a lot of things not working in their favor, but on a short week, they might respond a little bit differently. Now you got the Bengals. Burrow's having a hell of a season, Jeff. 70.7 completion rate, 640 passing yards, 7 touchdowns and 4 interceptions, 105 quarterback rating. But the one stat that stands out is he's been sacked 10 times this year. So the O-line is still shaky. And then you have a team that's was only favored once last year in 2020, and I think it was in the Jaguars game as well too. And then you have them scoring 22.7 per game and then allowing 18 points per game. So when you look at everything that's saying tonight, a lot of people should scoreboard watching this one because I know both teams have been going over a lot, but this could possibly be an under as well too tonight. But I honestly think though that this one is going to be much better than it looks on paper, Jeff. And from what I just threw out, they're not that far apart.
Again, sometimes when you look at the initial numbers, everyone's got the Bengals winning by 10 or more. I mean, it's that simple. Jags are not there, and Bengals have actually played a pretty tough schedule. They opened up against Minnesota, won in overtime. They go to the Bears, 3 straight picks by Burrow, and then they end up losing by 3. Then they go to Pittsburgh, where, again, the number went from 6-3. They win outright. This is a game where they're supposed to win and win handily. The thing that I'm looking at most is that the Jaguars team totals at 17.5 or 18. This game will decide it on the spread if the Jaguars get to 20 or more. That's where it is. Vegas has this right around 27-17, 27-18, somewhere like that. So it is a real tough game. And it's Thursday night. Everyone wants to get involved. It's the NFL. For us, it was like you said, we got to release something. We bought the hook. We took the Bengals down to 7, and we're just hoping basically, that they do win by 8 or more.
All right, and where I'm going with this one is I'm about to be rather contrary. I'm just going to go ahead and take the plus 7.5 on the Jags. For some odd reason, I felt like they kind of got a bump, even though they didn't have the greatest second half. But when you saw the excitement after that 109 kickoff return and, pretty much them knowing that, hey, you know what, it isn't as hard as it looks. We just have to be better. You know what I mean? And I think that that's a good motivation point because, at the end of the day, they went right back out there and scored a touchdown as well to start the half. They just ran into a buzzsaw because they were rushing things. And I think with 3 days and looking at that film, they'll be much better today because they're going against a team that's lesser, that's not as good as the Cardinals for real overall. You know what I mean? And I think this will be very helpful for them today, especially being on the road as well too. So I got the Jags plus 7.5. Let's go ahead and move forward to our next game, which is going to be a part of the early games in the NFL. And Sunday early games. And this is one that you can kind of just throw something into it. But it's Washington football team versus the Falcons. This is a split bag, in my opinion, Jeff. You have a lot of different things going on here. I'll let you take the floor since I opened up on the last game.
We're waiting for the Washington defense of last year to show up. They have not so far. Heineke hasn't been the problem. It's been the defense, their lack of pressure, their ability to get teams off the field. And now they travel to Atlanta, who's coming off an upset win at the Giants. It's a real coin toss game again here. It's a game where, again, I'd grab the popcorn, I'd grab the peanuts, and, you can flip a coin here, honestly. Here we said, you know what, we'll take the home team. We'll take them plus the 100. We'll hope and pray that, Atlanta piggybacks off of their win at New York and picks apart this defense. Let me tell you something right now, okay? Because Matty Ryan could be running for his life here. If this Washington defense finally shows up, Matty's in for a long day here. But we took the home team plus the 100 on the money line, and we'll see what happens.
All right, so here goes my 2 cents on this, and I'm going to go ahead and put my little 2 cents on it. I'm with you, Jeff. I'm taking the Falcons as the plus 100, but here goes some notes. Washington's allowing over 30 points per game. You don't like that stat for a team that's supposed to be one of the better defenses in the league. They're scoring 22.3. Kind of a surprise because you thought they would be a little bit lower because you thought they would be having these 17-14, 17-10 games, things of that nature, but it's not like that. And a stat that really alarms me is that they're 16th in the league in sacks. They only got 6 on the season, which isn't bad, but when your top guy who's supposed to be perennial defensive player of the year has 0 sacks, it shows up on the scoreboard. And they need more Chase Young. That's what they need for them to really be able to say this defense is really good. You know what I mean? Because if Chase Young is not sacking the quarterback or forcing his way to the quarterback, then Washington has serious issues because their back end isn't good when it comes to covering. And then their brightest spot is Mr. McLaurin, Mr. Ohio State, 19 receptions, 231 yards, and a touchdown. You might want more of him, coming up this week. And like you said, Niki is not the problem at all. He's actually kind of a bright spot for what Washington's been doing the last few weeks as well, too. So you got the Falcons coming in. Matty Ryan is actually throwing the ball very well this year. 70.9 completion rate, 707 pass yards, 4 touchdowns, 3 interceptions. But just like you just said, Jeff, he's been sacked 7 times. And 2 of those games, it was three sacks. So 3 sacks each. So pretty much the defense is terrible. They're allowing over 31 points. So expect points in this game. A lot of people need to expect points in this game. And then the alarming stat for me is this. Atlanta's only scoring 16 points a game. So it's a 14-point differential between what they're allowing and what they're really scoring. So Atlanta, this could be Atlanta's breakout game when it comes to offense, or it could be another game where they only put up 17 points. So they're 1-0 against the NFC East, and I think that's my idea of what I'm going to do right now, Jeff, and that's why I'm taking the Falcons with the plus 100 on my side. So there it is. We're both in agreement with this one right here. So Falcons, don't let us down. We move forward. Let's go ahead and talk about the Texans at the Bills, one of the most intriguing games of the weekend because the very, very long point spread. And the Bills probably haven't had a point spread like this since they was in the AFL. Seriously. I don't even think they had one like this when they were going to 4 straight Super Bowls because the NFL wasn't as bad as it is now when it comes to defensive teams. Even if you were a bad team in the NFL, you still had a little bit of defense. You know what I mean? To kind of save you on some Sundays. It would get scorched earth, but still, you would have a little bit of defense to kind of bail you out because, man, Jeff knows what I'm talking about. We used to really sit here and watch 13-3 games, and those games used to be like, if you were up 13-3 in a game back in the 90s, that was like being up like 21-0. Because literally, like, you could really sit there and for a whole 3.5 quarters before you get anything going after an exciting first quarter. But that just goes to show you how things were set up. But I digress. Let me stay on topic because we don't have that much time. Third game in 14 days for the Texans, Jeff. Cooks leads the league in receptions, 23, and he has 322 receiving yards. That's good for third right now. But at one point, he was the number 1 guy, 1 touchdown. The Texans actually are scoring points, 22.3, good for 19th. They're allowing 25. So that's 18. So they're not as bad as they're trying to say they are. And they have 4 interceptions on the year, which is good for 4th. Now, they 1-2 in 2021, and this is their second time as a double-digit dog, which they did not cover. Now, Josh Allen, Mr. Allen, on the other hand, 62.2 completion percentage, 95.5 quarterback rating, 807 pass yards, 7 touchdowns, 1 interception. They're scoring 31.3 a game, allowing 14.1. 76 points scored in the last 2 weeks, Jeff, after just dropping 16 opening day on the Steelers. Blowouts by a margin of 26 or better. 1-1 at home, 9 sacks on the year. It's when you look at it, you should say Buffalo should run away with this thing, but come on, Jeff. You know us. We're not gonna get that crazy. But what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm looking at my notes here, Pop. What did I give you guys to put up here for this game?
The obvious. You
obvious?
bought me and put up plus 17, sir.
Exactly. And so we talk about these obnoxious spreads. And listen, if I woke up Monday morning and the Bills won 41-3, would I be surprised? No. Okay, but look what the Bills did last week. They just went roughshod, and they're the team that we thought they were. I mean, to now get that peak performance again, it's a tough pill to swallow. So again, I'm not trying to be the wise guy here and say grab the popcorn and scoreboard watch. But again, if you got to play this game, we bought the hook. We got it to 17. We just hope and pray. Listen, if we're down 23 or less with the ball with 2 minutes to go, we have a shot for the backdoor cover. Okay, win the turnover battle. Play keep away. You got a great running back with Gibson. You got I'm sorry, excuse me. I'm thinking back to the Washington game here. But when you got the Texans, you got David Johnson, you got Ingram, you have a few weapons. You're not going to score 30 in there. You're going to have to try to keep it to 24-10, 24-13. Take the 17 and pray. That's all, Pops.
Yep. And I'm on the same thing. I don't need to talk long. It's 17. It's 16 and a half points. What's there to talk about? I think that the Texans lose by 2 touchdowns. That's it. Because the Texans are not good, but they aren't that bad to me. I think that a lot of people are over analyzing things, and people have to understand this is not a one-man show with any team in the NFL. And that started to be proven a lot with the Chiefs as well, too, is that one man can't do it all for you. You know what I mean? So pretty much 16 and a half. If you give me a 16 and a half point lead to start off in an NFL game, I'm taking it. And the Bills are not, at the end of the day, no offense to the Bills, but they're not the Patriots. The Patriots, now you see 16 and a half with the Patriots in a spot like this, okay. But no, not with the Bills. The Bills are good, but the Bills are a team that can get a little lackadaisical, and they can wind up only winning this game by 10 points. You know what I mean? Because the Texans, nobody believes in them, so that makes them play that much harder. So it is what it is. We move forward to our final game before we take our first commercial break. And this is one of the most intriguing. This should be a game that gets a lot of bets, Jeff, because there's a lot of ways you can go here. Lions coming into this one, plus 135. Bears minus 165. Jeff, I'll let you take the floor for this one.
You know, I think in the NFL especially, there's usually an overreaction. Lions played their heart out last week, and it took Tucker from 66 to have the Ravens beat them. Now you got the Bears, where we thought all along the Browns were the perfect storm for them. Fields got sacked 8, 9, 10 times, however many times it was. Now they come back home where they're comfortable, and now they're playing. Nagy's playing the game. Well, I'm not sure if it's going to be Foles. I'm not sure if it's going to be Fields, yada, yada, yada. Okay, what we decided to do here very simply was we're not going to take a bite into the overreaction. We took the Bears. We bought the hook to -3. Minus 165, a little too steep. We think the Bears get it done. And whether it's Foles or Fields, I think the Bears win this game by more than 4. Home field. I like what the Lions are doing. I like the dual running backs there with Swift and Williams. I like Hawkinson. I like what Goff is doing with this team. But I just think the Bears bounce back. I see them winning 24-17, 24-20 even, but I think the Bears get it done.
All right, now I'm going to go opposite. I'm actually going to take the Lions on the money line. I know I'm doing crazy things right now because the Lions are really a team that really says, Pop, don't like you that much, so we're going to make sure we mess your money up all the time. So if you don't take us, we'll make sure we cover. If you do take us, we'll make sure we play the worst game of any team on Sunday. But you know what? I'm a Taurus, and we're stubborn. So, hey, these are the notes, and this is why I did this. Goff, 69.9 completion percentage, 94.3 QBR, 801 pass yards, 5 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. He's been sacked 6 times, though, this year, and he lost a fumble. The scoring, once again, this is another team averaging over 22 points a game. They're allowing 31, though. They're one of the worst when it comes to overall defense. But they're also averaging 267 yards through the air. That's something that intrigues me a lot, especially for a team like Chicago, who was getting ate up with the short game all day long the last 3 weeks. And then this is where I made my choice. The Lions have 8 sacks. That's good for 10th in the league right now. This Chicago Bears offensive line is atrocious, Jeff, to be honest with you. And when you have a team that already has supplied 8 sacks and they played against 3 of the better teams in the NFL, come on. You look at Detroit's schedule to start off. You got to line it up with the Niners first week, then you line it up with the Packers the second week, then you line it up with the Ravens. This is an easy call for them. This is a breath of fresh air, bringing in the Bears who can't score. You know what I mean? Like literally, they can't score because their offensive line won't allow it. Now, here goes some fun stats real quick about the Bears. We got Montgomery, who is probably the one offensive link for them, and I know fantasy owners are loving it this year. Montgomery 203 rush yards, 1 touchdown though. You need to feed the beast a little bit more. And then they're allowing 25 points per game. All of us are stunned by that. The Bears should be better than that on defense. They paid way too much money for that defense. The worst offense in the NFL, only scoring 13.3. Now, this is a bright spot because I heard a goofball say the other day that the Raiders won the trade with Khalil Mack and the Bears. The Raiders never won that trade. Yeah, they got some draft picks out of it, but the Bears have been to the playoffs 2 out of the 3 years that Mack has been there. And Mack won a Defensive Player of the year he got there. So how did Gruden look like a genius in that? Come on. He has 3 sacks already. He had three sacks already, and he looked really good in the Cleveland game as well, too. So let's not talk about Khalil Mack struggling because he's not. You know what I mean? And he's still getting triple teams and double teams left and right. So he is the most important player for the Chicago Bears in this game, in my opinion. It's up to him to wreak havoc on Goff because that's what they need. This team is 0-3 against the spread, so that's why I just took the Lions today because I don't want to deal with the headaches with the Bears. That's it. It's that simple. That's why I'm taking the plus 135. I see value in that game. It is what it is, Jeff.
I listen, that's a great point. And again, I'm playing the overreaction card, and you're playing something that, again, people don't look at who the Lions have actually matched up against and what Goff is doing. And the fact that they got a 2-headed monster, it's going to be on the defense. Can the defense get pressure on Fields or Foles? Okay. Can they play the bend, don't break? And who wins the turnover battle? I admire that. I love that spot. It's a great value.
Yep, and that's why I said people are going to go 50-50 with this one. But think with your head, though, when it comes down to this one. Now, you're dealing with a team that's playing – a team that doesn't have expectations, dealing with a team that does have expectations. That's all I'm saying. All right, so good way to start the first quarter of the show. We will be right back in a few. You guys stay tuned. This is the NFL Bet Exchange, hosted by the one and only Pop DBICD Primetime Capper and the man himself, the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson, and we'll be right back to you.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the NFL Bet Exchange, and let's go ahead and jump into our next game. Sorry for that. We do have a game that I do like a lot, and you know what? I'm going to take the floor to start this one off. Why, Jeff? Because it's that time, brother. The PT Dog Bet of the Week. Let's go. Let me explain why this is my dog bet of the week. You have a 3-0 team in the Panthers who, if you didn't respect them after, I understand the Jets game. The Jets was like a warm up. That was like, you know, Alabama playing Austin P or somebody like. Well, not even. You know what I mean? That's like say a Big Ten team playing against a MAC school. You know what I mean? It might be a upset, but it ain't happening because the Jets are built to lose right now. They're not built to win anything. So we understand that part. But they did, you know, prove a point against the Saints, but that was a divisional game. Things like that happened. Defense stepped it up huge. And then, you know, a lot of people still wasn't impressed because you only beat the Texans by 15. Now, reason why I love the Panthers going into this game, Jeff, is the simple reason why I love the Panthers going into this bad boy is because of this. It's because of it's because I'm trying to okay. All right, but the main reason why I like this game moving forward is that you have a team in Sam Darnold who seems rejuvenated at this point, in my opinion. And so when you get something like that, then you're running into a situation where you have a revitalized quarterback, Jeff. And I think that with him throwing for almost 300 yards a game in each one of those games, that should tell you something. And then you're going against a Dallas defense that is a mirage defense. Yeah, they've looked good. But once again, I mentioned this the other day. A defense can always look good when they're getting takeaways. And that's what the Cowboys are doing. Diggs is an absolute monster on the outside. He had a pick six, all that good stuff. But they're still giving up a lot of yardage. So when I look at this game in general, I see a Carolina team with a point to prove. And I think that it's going to be an over bet on the Dallas Cowboys as well. So that's why I'm taking the value here with the plus 175 on the Panthers, who are an undefeated team who really don't care what they don't apologize for the way that they're going to win the game. Okay. And the way that defense is set up to give Dak issues, just like they did a few years back on Thanksgiving. I'm just remembering the Thanksgiving game, Jeff, and that was an absolute just shit show for pardon my French, but that was absolutely terrible for the Cowboys that day. And this game has all the vibes of that. So we'll see how it shakes out, Jeff. But that's my dog bet of the week. The Panthers plus 175. Jeff, where are you going with this?
Again, talking NFL means any given Sunday. And again, what the public remembers last was what? Monday Night Football, where Dak and company just put a butt whooping on the Eagles. It wasn't even close. It was bad coaching, bad schemes, bad everything. But it was the perfect storm for Dallas. Now in come the undefeated Panthers, which one of the better defenses in the NFL. If you haven't seen their defense, make sure you tune in for this game. But secondly, the one little tidbit that is a little nervous is the fact with McCaffrey out with the hamstring, Chuba Hubbard there will be able to play. He'll be effective, but he's no McCaffrey. So does Darnold win that turnover battle? I think Rule and company are going to come in and say, we're not doing what Philly did. We're not coming in here expecting to score 30, 35 points and get into a shootout with Dak. We have a better defense than Philly. We're smarter coaches. We will bump and grind, basically. We'll dink and dunk. Darnold will hit more. He'll hit Marshall, whatever it takes. And I think they're going to stay close. And I don't mind the outright pick either. But we took the +5 here. We're very comfortable in thinking the Panthers, at worst, lose by 3 here.
Right. I just think that this is a spot that a lot of people are going to be surprised in. You know what I mean? I feel like, and the reason why I'm playing this one too, as well, before we move on, Sam Darnold scorched the Cowboys in his one time playing them in New York. And and we all remember that game because the Jets went in there with no wins in that game as well too. And pretty much he had his way with the Cowboys that day, and I feel like he's going to have his way with the Cowboys again on Sunday. So that's why I'm going ahead and taking this spot as well too. Sam Darnold was just too good against that team first time out. All right, let's move on to our next spot. Colts at the Dolphins. Jeff, I'll let you take the floor.
Yeah, tough game for us. Again, the Colts team just, Wentz is basically put together with Gorilla Glue, duct tape, whatever you want, versus a Dolphin team that, again, offensively challenged last week against the Raiders. I give some props because the Raiders front seven really put Brissett into a lot of, rush throws, sacks, and et cetera, et cetera. Now, Dolphins coming back home, only a 1.5 point favorite here. It was a coin toss to us. We're hoping that the Colts find a way. They got to get into the win column. They're struggling, and this is a perfect matchup for them. I think Taylor scores often, and I think the Colts and their defense find a way to pull this one off. But we took the plus 1.5 pops.
All right, so you guys are Jeff taking the plus 1.5. What I'm gonna do here, I see the over under 43.5 as well too. And the reason being why and people ask why is it so that looks like it's value. The reason why it looks like it's value is because we have the Dolphins 30th in the league in scoring with 15 a game, and then you have the Colts 24th with 18 a game. Both these teams struggle on the offensive end. Both of them are struggling mightily. But I know why Jeff is on the Colts because their offenses actually show brighter spots. It's just about protecting the quarterback. And they have a sufficient run game to follow up the quarterback as well, too. But all in all, sorry about that. Can't miss this call real quick. All right, so pretty much I still think what happens here, though, is that you run into a revenge situation for Jacoby Brissett. And what happens is this, Jeff. We wind up getting ourselves a Dolphins victory at Hard Rock. So that's what I'll bet, though. That's what I'm looking at. So pretty much with that, I'm going to have to take a quick 2-minute break real quick. Jeff, do you want to go ahead and get him started on the Giants and Saints, and I'll be right back? Or do you want me to just take a quick break?
It's all up to you, sir.
All right, so I'll be right back in a few moments. Jeff's going to take the stage and talk about the Giants and Saints real quick, and I'll be back in 2.
This game here, initially, it looks like a layup here on paper. And it's kind of tough in this regards because the Saints have been that Jekyll and Hyde team every week. Opening week, they destroy the Packers. Then they go to the Panthers and get destroyed. And what happened last week? They destroy the Patriots. And here in comes a Giants team offensively struggling. Again, is Daniel Jones going to be that quarterback that they need for their future? What I do look at here is away from home now, a chance for them to breathe. The Saints, this will be their 4th game living out of a hotel. They are playing again at Jacksonville, a neutral field. We here like the fact that this is the 4th week now that Barkley is going to get stronger as it's progressed. Do we expect the Saints to win? Yeah, most likely. But we think that there was too much here. The spread too high of 8. So what we did here basically is says, hey, we'll take a swing. You're giving us a touchdown plus. We'll take the Giants plus the 8 and hope that they can be competitive and, hope to keep it within a touchdown or less. Again, if Jones is going to go in there and expect to, put up 27, 28 points, the Saints D is good. They got to win the turnover battle. They have to establish Barkley. They have to use their weapons on the outside with Shepard. Ingram's getting healthier. And hopefully the defense will get that other half of Jameis Winston here. We'll get the bad Jameis. and maybe get a couple picks, maybe even a pick six, and hopefully keep it within 7 and be close. And who knows? But we took the +8 here, Pops, and the Giants.
All right, sorry about that. Thank you guys so much. And let me show you guys Jeff's graphic. Jeff's laughing like, boy, I got 75 million things to do. You over here.
All good, Pops. All good. I talked for 3.5.
I don't have my. We're not at the assistant level yet, but we'll be there soon. All right, so I'll break it down real quick for you. Over under 43.5, very right on the money. Jeff likes the Giants, but I ain't going with the Giants. I'm going to go ahead and take the Saints. The Saints -8, hear me out. Saints have won both of their games by double digits or better, okay? They beat the Pats by 15. They beat the Packers by 35. You bring this team in here, this Giants team with below average quarterback, a hurt running back, and a bunch of receivers with nagging injuries, and a tight end with nagging injuries, and an offensive line that's makeshift. Giants might be calling me next week to play guard. I don't know. But seriously, the Giants are over here looking for something. And the defensive end is just spending way too much time on the field. I think that it's going to be deceptive enough for the Saints moving forward in this game, and they should win this game by 20 or better. I like to say 10 or better, but I think it's 20 or better here because New York just doesn't have any offense, Jeff. But I understand where Jeff's coming from, because if that defense decides to step it up and play, then it's a whole different ballgame, especially with a guy like Jameis Winston who gets antsy in the pocket. So I know where Jeff's going with this, because you can't trust Jameis with a spread like this. That's the whole thing. Even though he's been rejuvenated, he looks good. When we see him at 2 and 3, we get excited. We really get excited when we see him as a plus. But him as a big favorite, you already know the Saints have lost as a favorite straight up this year and against the spread. So that's one thing that you do need to entertain. But this is going to be rocking and rolling. This is going to be a home game. First a real home game of the season. Giants don't stand a chance. I'm taking the Saints 10 or better, Jeff. All right, we move on. Let's talk about the Titans and the Jets. Oh, God. I'll start because I know Jeff gave me a good 5, 6, 7 minutes and waited for me to cut back. I still took 2 more minutes. So I'll be quick here. Titans, man. I don't even need to explain why. You guys see how the Jets been playing football lately? I see, dude, there's college teams that have better schemes than they do. What is your scheme? That's my question. What are we doing out there? I feel bad for Wilson, Jeff. I truly do feel bad for the kid because he has an offensive coordinator that's really clueless on what to do with him. And then he has a head coach that just spends a lot of time being bald on the sideline. Seriously, just being that. He just reminds me of the angry guy at the falafel house. You know what I mean? And, the guy that he owns the business and nothing ever goes right, but he always has that stern, silly looking face. You better get it together, Salah, because it doesn't matter how well you did in San Francisco. It's what have you done for me lately, league? And you ain't done nothing for none of us. All right. So I'm taking the Titans, Jeff, and that's it. That's all.
It's a game that, again, listen, I'll tell you this. You talked about the Dallas coming into the Jets, and they were 8-point favorites, and then the Jets picked them off. Okay. We did the same thing. We took the Titans. We bought the hook to -7. I'm just going to say this. This Titans team, okay, defensively is struggling. Okay. Now, Henry, on the other hand, can't be stopped. So if they come up with the right scheme, I think they got a quarterback that they think can make all the throws. They don't have any rhyme or reason. And I think Urban Meyer is the same way right now. Hey, we got the number one quarterback. We're going to still make him throw, even though we don't think he should be forcing the issue. That's what Wilson and them are doing as well. And so my whole point about this is it's, don't forget, too, it's the Corey Davis revenge game. He wants to show the Titans, hey, they blew this. They didn't want me. I'm here with the Jets. We took the Titans for all the right reasons, we hope. But I'm going to tell you this right now. If the Titans come in and think this is a layup, there's a lot of egg on their face. And the Jets team, I don't think they've covered in – God, last year they started the season 0-11 against the spread. They're starting the same way. Let's just hope and pray. But listen, guys, do not go to the window and keep punching these tickets on your money line parlays, your teasers, and all that. Just hit it once and move on. That's all.
I mean, people were mad at me last week about the Chargers and Chiefs. Like, I had the Chiefs on my 8 picker, and I would have won $75,000 if I didn't have them on there. Hey, sometimes things are too good to be true. Okay? And that's what it is on NFL Sundays with some of these favorites, especially when they land at 6.5, 7, 8. There's a reason why they're kind of playing with us a little bit, because when you really look at it, the Titans should be having a double-digit spread in this game. This should be a 2-touchdown or better. But they didn't give that love to the Broncos either. So when you look at it, the Jets may be in for a better game, because when you look at the first 3 defenses they played against, those defenses are all top 10 in the NFL right now too. So that's something to go ahead and put into your scope as well too, because even the Patriots with their lackadaisical selves right now, they still have a sufficient defense. It's just that the offense isn't moving the way that it's supposed to. But all in all, let's move on and talk about the Chiefs and the Eagles. The Chiefs are everybody's favorite team in America, everybody's favorite quarterback. And then you got the Eagles. With the Eagles went from sugar to sugar to manure very quickly, Jeff. The regression was very fast. 32-6 win, scrappy battle with the 49ers, and then the bottom just fell out against the Cowboys. Now you come back home, you got another megastar coming in that you're playing against. And your defense is not looking as good as it did before, because your best player is out now. Now, Kansas City is coming in here with a aggressive mind state. They probably want to get this game over with as quickly as possible so they can go ahead and send their man Andy Reid a great shot, because this is his former house right here as well too. So this is the first time I think Andy's coming back to Philadelphia as well too, since they parted ways. So you have the Chiefs rolling up in here confident, because they know they got to win this game. They're 1-2 right now. They're up there looking up at the Raiders and the Broncos, really, and the Chargers. So they're going to be aggressive in this game. But that, to me, is going to lead to a game where they win, but they're going to have to really claw it out for this one too. I don't think that the Eagles are going to give up over 30 points this week, because after get the shellacking they caught last week, they're going to have a different type of mantra, different type of game plan. And Jalen Hurts will actually be able to be a little bit more effective in this game, because the Chiefs defense didn't improve. They still bad, and he's a running quarterback. So that should be helpful for them as well too. But this is actually a breath of fresh air for a Chiefs defense, because they're not dealing with super quarterback, like they've been doing, a quarterback that can do it all, Baker. And then they had to deal with Lamar. And then they had to deal with Herbert last week. Now they got to just deal with little old Hurts. And I think that's where their defense is going to look good at, but Hurts is going to have his way. That's why I still like the Eagles at +7.5 in this spot. But I'm not saying the Chiefs lose, okay? Just so y'all know that I'm not hating on the Chiefs right now, okay? I think your little Patrick Mahomes can get the victory here, okay?
Egg on my face last week with the Eagles. We did have the Chargers. You had the money line. Both teams should be focused. I mean, again, I think the Chiefs should be 0-3 right now. They shouldn't have beat the Browns opening week. The Eagles back home, the house that Andy built to face Andy. I think the Eagles, I hope you're listening here, you can run the crap out of the ball. Hurts, Miles Sanders, Gainwell. You can also have a big day from your tight ends here, whether it's Ertz, whether it's Goddard, okay? It doesn't have to be downfield to Devontae Smith or Jalen Reagor, okay? Defensively, put pressure on Patrick, but stay in your lanes. Don't allow him to run for 50, 60, 70 yards. Travis Kelce, all you fantasy players, should have a monster day. Eagles real tough against the tight ends. I mean, they made Schultz look like the Moose on Monday night. So we bought the hook. We took the Eagles +8. Listen, guys, wake up, smell the coffee. Better game plan than last week and keep it within a touchdown, please.
There it is. And one more thing. I didn't think the Chiefs made a smart move this week when they went ahead and got Josh Gordon. Not because he's been suspended multiple times. It's that where's your weaknesses at? It's not at receiver. It's on the defensive end, and there's some really good defensive players that are on the street right now. And I thought that was an absolute cash grab type situation. That was a shiny objects. And I don't know if the Chiefs, the upper management, is making wise decisions right now for the betterment of the team. So we'll see how it goes. But with that, we're going to take another quick commercial break. You guys stick around. This is the NFL Bet Exchange with Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and the Don of Cape Cod, Mr. Jeff Dawson. And we'll be right back.
Now you and your friends can compete in the sport of kings and win big with Stable Duel. Get the app, pick your horses, and get in on the thrill of horse racing with daily games competing against other players. Bring home the glory and the cash and move up the annual leaderboard while you leave your competition in the dust. Get in the game with Stable Duel. Play, race, win.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners and I'll Have Another and Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
All right, we're back, and let's go ahead and talk about the Browns and the Vikings. There's probably like 3 games this week that is going to get 50% of the action on each side. There's going to be no I got this advantage over you, because really, even if it's 52-48, I still consider that like 50-50. That means that literally we're deadlocked at who's going to win the game. Now, the Browns come in here as pretty much the eye test favorite, but the Vikings, once again, had a very good game against the Seahawks. They played really good football over the last 3 weeks as well, too. Regardless of losing their first 2 games of the season, they lost both those games in overtime. Or, well, not overtime, but they lost both those games in the last seconds of the game. So, and they could easily be 2-1 if the kicker doesn't push it to the right. So we have a situation here where this game will be one of the better games of the day because I think they're going to go back and forth here. But this is going to be a test of who has the better defense, in my opinion. And I think that the Browns at this point have the better defense because they have the better players on that defensive side of the ball. And I think with the new emergence of this new sack duo of Clowney and Garrett, it presents problems for any offensive line in the NFL, especially when they line up right next to each other. So this is going to be a very intriguing game. And the over-under for the game is pretty high at 52.5. But I expect the Browns to be a offensive defensive team here. I expect heavy run, because that's something that has been killing Minnesota the last few weeks. And Seattle could have held on to the game, but Seattle's play calling was pretty atrocious after they went up 17-7. They didn't really have any more answers after that. So where I'm going here with this, I think the Browns have the edge here. I think the Browns wind up winning a real close game, a real good game, a game that you need intact to get to your goals. You know what I mean, Jeff? Everything game can't be a blowout. You need the games that show the real moxie of your team. So this is going to be a physical matchup. So expect people to get hurt here. All right. And that's all I'm saying. I'm taking the Browns money line minus 125. Jeff, what are your thoughts?
I'm the same feeling here. Minnesota, you hit it well. Trailed 21-7 opening week at Cincinnati, rallied the troops and was going in for the game winner in OT. And then we had a Dalvin Cook fumble. Then at Arizona, winning most of the game, Arizona comes back, takes the lead, and then the kicker for the Vikings then decides to shake Hippopotamus and lose that one. And hats off, down 17-7 to Seattle, but a good second half. Cousins outdueled Russell Wilson, and they got their first win. Again, I'm not here to promote Baker Mayfield, but I am here to promote the Cleveland Browns. They have the team on both sides of the ball, not only to win the division, not only to win the Baker's hands. If he throws it 17 to 20, 21 times, pound Chubb, pound Hunt, Odell's back. Okay, hopefully Jarvis will be back in a few weeks. Peoples-Jones, they have two tight ends. They dominate both sides of the ball. If he goes in here to try to outduel Cousins, they will lose. If he relies on his running game and to dink and dunk and take his spots, they win. And we think that's what's going to happen. Vegas says 28-24. I think that they can get at least 27-28, if not 30. I like the Browns. I like the Browns to win handily.
And these are the fourth and fifth best teams per yards on offense as well, too. And they're not that far apart either. So this is a good one, man. This is going to be a very good game. All right, we move on, and let's go ahead and talk about this one right here. This is going to be a good old NFC West, y'all, game. And this is two bitter rivals in the Seahawks and the 49ers. Now, Seahawks coming in here struggling, lost 2 in a row, have had double-digit leads in every single game this season as well, too. And let me go ahead and make sure we specify what this is, too. This is a Sunday late game. So we're getting into the late games now, y'all. So there it is, Sunday late game. I had to just throw that up there because, I paid for it, so I got to throw it up there. So pretty much Seahawks plus 140 at the 49ers, minus 165, plus 3 on the spread. We got an over-under of 52. Jeff, what are your thoughts on this?
We preseason picked the Niners to win the NFC West. We picked the Niners to win the NFC and go to the Super Bowl. This is a game here where 37 seconds away from being undefeated and tough pill to swallow. And in comes Seattle now, who's struggling, who's lost their last 2. Seattle can't stop a nosebleed on the ground. And if they don't fix that in a hurry, San Fran will have over 200 yards of rushing. we took a swing here, Pops, and we're going to say we're going to go down with the ship here, but we took the money line. We think Russ finds a way to get them not just to cover, but to win. It's going to be a tough pill for them to swallow if they can't stop Sermon or whatever healthy running back is back there. But we look for Russ to find a way to win and win outright, Pops.
Well, I'm going to tell you like this. When you look at this matchup, the last 7 years, the Seahawks are 12-2 overall. The 49ers are a team that is 3-13-2 against the spread in their last 15 games at home. So there's a lot of elements that point towards the Seahawks being them dudes on Sunday and getting their get back that they've been graciously waiting for. You know what I mean? And they have the type of defense that can hold San Francisco at bay. San Francisco doesn't have much to me offensively because the running game is stagnant right now because all their running backs are hurt. And then the back end for the cornerbacks isn't good because you saw what happened with the Packers winning that game on Sunday. So I think that they were able to start off 2-0 because they had two very easy games to start the season off. You know, you line up with the Lions and then you line up with the Eagles, and both these teams have issues, you know, all over the place. So then you line it up with the Packers, and the Packers dominated you in the first half, and then they were able to eke out that win late that nobody should be able to eke out. Seriously, nobody should be able to do that. But we live in a different NFL now, Jeff. Because you give a team 37 seconds back in the old NFL NBC days, oh, we're getting ready to cut to the 5 o'clock news in about 10 seconds. You're going to get one play, and we're cutting and this game is over. You know what I mean? Even the rest would be like, game over. I'm holding the ball for an extra 5 seconds just to make sure I get to go home. You know what I mean? So I think that the Seahawks bounce back, and they bounce back big here, and I'm taking them as well, too, on the money line, Jeff. It's just because they own the San Francisco 49ers. You ask the Niners, who's your daddy? They'll say Pete Carroll and the Seahawks. All right, so there it is. We move on. Are we moving on? Yes, we are. Okay, so we move on to a game that a lot of is another throw-em-up game, and this is Ravens at the Broncos. Broncos coming in here with their chest as big as Speedy Gonzalez right now after – doing his business and everything because they are 3-0. They're not just 3-0. They're 3-0, dominant 3-0. Their win margin is 14 points or better each game out, Jeff. They haven't had no close game. And this was a recipe for disaster for New York going into Denver in the home opener. Everybody should have – that was one of the easiest bets you'll make in the next 5 years in the NFL. You know what I mean? Seriously, because there was no chance of the Jets really being in that game as soon as it started. You know what I mean? The Broncos really punched them in the mouth and said that you're going to sit here and for the rest of the day, and we'll let you know when you're ready, when you can leave. So that's what that game wound up being. Broncos are getting a lot of respect now. You know, well, still they're not getting any respect. Let me take that back. Why did I say that? A lot of people still feel like that 3-0 is fool's gold because you look at the schedule. Come on, Giants, Jags, and Jets. But you can only play with who they throw in front of you. This is the NFL, and they took full advantage of that, and you respect that at the end of the day as well, too. You know, so I think the Broncos are riding on to some mile high, some of that mile high juice right now that we've come to know in the first half of the season many years. And I think that they're going to be able to continue to do that as well Sunday because you have a Ravens team that's kind of confused. In a sense, is Lamar going to do everything? Is the defense going to step up the way that they need to step up? And come on, man, they literally got saved by the refs last week to win that game, and that was a miracle. That doesn't happen in a million years. So you get your one time in a million years, somebody hits a 66-yard field goal. So I think with all that emotion that went into that game and the way that they played, if they play at that same rate against Denver, lights out. And that's why I'm taking Denver because I expect the Ravens to play that same game because they've been playing the same game the last 3 weeks. So I'm taking the Broncos minus 125. Mile high, baby. What you think, Jeff?
Giants, Jaguars, Jets. You said it perfectly. Okay. When I saw this opening line, I had to scratch my head. Listen, I'm not disrespecting the Broncos. I like their defense. Teddy doesn't make mistakes. They got a nice 1-2 punch in the backfield with the Rook, Javonte Williams, and Melvin Gordon. They have no wide receivers now. They lost Hamler last week. They lost Judy 2 weeks ago. They got the Count Sutton back, and they have a great tight end who's going to have a big day. Fantasy guys, Noah Fant, put him in. He's going to have a big day. But listen, I think Baltimore, don't forget, 2 weeks ago, they defeated your Patrick Mahomes, and they beat the Chiefs. Okay, then it did take a miracle, 66-yarder, but Tucker made it. I think they ride the momentum. Listen, I think John Elway and company are in for a long day. I'm taking the Ravens plus the 1.5. You can take the money line minus 105 or whatever. This is the Ravens all day for us.
Dude, Elway suiting up?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, is he suiting up? Wow, because if he suit up, man, I'm telling you right now, first play, broken leg. Seriously, because if he out there limping like he did the last 5 years, boy, that'd be all bad. What those Ravens coming off the line, be all bad for John in today's NFL. He way too much of a limp. See, back in the day, a quarterback would limp around because he knew that pretty much he might not be getting hit up like that. But in today's NFL, you can't be limping no more.
He's my all-time favorite quarterback. I get so much poop around here, from living in New England, and I'm not a Brady homer. John Elway, my all-time favorite quarterback.
Man, if you needed somebody to be real crunch time, that's who taught them all. John Elway. That's who taught them all. If you think Brady's comebacks are something amazing, just cut on the John Elway comeback tape, and you'll understand how amazing comebacks really are. All right, We'll move on to our next game. Our next game's a fun one. This is going to be the Steelers at the Packers, and this one winds up being pretty much this one winds up being, I think that hold on, I got to double check and make sure that we're not going to commercial yet, because it looks like we got 4 games left. And we actually are. So when we get back, we'll talk Steelers, Packers, but we'll be real quick. So we'll be right back to you. You guys just go ahead and take a breather real quick, off your notes real quick, class, and we'll be right back with the final quarter of the show.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another in Nyquist. Also trained 2-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune into Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we're back. Packers and Steelers. And you know what? Before the season started, you probably wouldn't have got a spread like this in a game like this. You probably would have been a lot closer. But we know the Packers would have been the favorite in this game too, moving forward as well. But you know what? I always say if the Steelers defense doesn't show up, they don't have a chance. And once again, it's another week that's on the defense, Jeff, because week 1 they showed up, showed out, and showed that they're a pretty incredible bunch. You know what I mean? That defensive side. But I'm not going to harp on Ben Roethlisberger being old. It's obvious that he's old. You know what I mean? It's obvious that he's the one that's holding back this team at this moment. So we don't have to get into that anymore. But one thing that he will have to do Sunday, if they want to even attempt to be in this game with the Packers, to be honest with you, Najee Harris has to be more of the bell cow for the offensive side. You just have to do it. You know what I mean? You have to Le'Veon this thing with him. You know what I mean? Where you really have Roethlisberger go back to how he was when he was a rookie. Just hand the damn ball off, and we'll see what we can do. Throw your little short passes here and there, and we're going to have to put, take the air out the ball to have 7, 8, 9 minute scoring drives to actually even think about being in a game like this one, because the Packers get good on both sides. And yeah, they did awful week 1. So what? That's week 1. We got 16 more weeks after that. And they've actually showed up and showed out in the last 2 weeks and showed why they've been the most dominant team in the NFC, even though they haven't went to Super Bowls 2 years in a row. Their record speaks for itself at the end of the day with their head coach. And he's probably has had the best start for any head coach ever in the NFL when you look at how many wins and losses that he has apiece. But he does have Mr. Aaron Rodgers as well, too, who had himself a moment last week. But all in all, I think this is just the one that's going to where the bottom falls out for the Steelers, to be honest with you, Jeff. That's why I didn't hesitate to take the Packers with the -7 this week. I think that a lesson needs to be taught to the whole Pittsburgh organization that they need to get with the times of 2021 and stop thinking it's 2011. It's that simple. Give me the Packers, -7.
No, the Steelers are a block punt away from being 0-3. I mean, people are starting to wonder if there wasn't a call at halftime because they were getting their butt whooped at Buffalo. They blocked the kick. Next thing you know, another touchdown, and they win the game. And then they're just embarrassed the last 2 weeks. I mean, who is this team? I mean, Ben Roethlisberger, who threw the ball 58 times, and he threw one pass over 25 yards. And then he threw 2 passes over 20 yards, and the rest were 5, 10, and 15 yards. Najee Harris, 14 completions last week. We bought the hook. Maybe the road is where the Steelers need to be. Their issue, I don't think, is their coach. Their issue, I don't think, is their defense. I mean, the issue is Ben, and they brought him back because they don't have anyone behind him either. He just doesn't have it. He has no arm strength. He's overweight. He's not in shape. Whatever you want to say. I think they show some heart. I think they keep it close. I think the defense has a big day. Call me crazy. I think they could surprise the Steelers. I mean, the Packers. And we took the 7.5, but I would not be shocked if they came out of here with a win. Now, when we talk next week on Thursday, and you said, I told you, the Packers win 31-10, you're right. But there got to be some pride somewhere, okay? They come out of here and get blown out again, and they're going to be starting to talk about calling for Tomlin's head again. We took the points and we're praying, Puffs.
Right, and see, you know what, Jeff? There's I'm thinking that it's a smart move because people have to understand the Steelers are still the Steelers. So if they come out with a win here, that would be great for them. And pretty much, they were a 6.5 point dog to open up the season as well too. So, all you're doing is getting people some big value that they wouldn't usually get on the Steelers. And, that's why this spot will get bet heavily by people that are looking for a live dog. And I do totally understand that part in itself. I just think that the writing's on the wall, and you just got to, and you have to realize that those days of them having the defense dominate, get 5-6 sacks in a game, and Roethlisberger throws for 340, 4 touchdowns, that day is gone. That day is done. You don't have Antonio Brown anymore. You don't have Mike Wallace. You don't have the Hines Wards of the world, the Antoine Randalls. These guys don't even compare, to be honest with you. They're good, but they don't compare because they're not clutch. And we've seen both Juju and Claypool stink it up in big moments. So, maybe they should have kept Antonio Brown around to keep people motivated. Juju ain't had a good season since he left.
No, he hasn't.
All right, so we move on to who they are now calling the best team in all of football, Jeff. You know what? Let's not get too far ahead of ourselves. You know what I mean? The Rams are awesome. They are great, but they almost lost to the Colts. It was close. You know what I mean? The Colts made it a game. Last week, Tom and the crew ran into some issues and they fell behind big time. And that game wound up going off the rails for the Bucs last week. But would that game be the same in the playoffs? Nope, not at all. So you come into this one, you got a Cards team who's another team that might be real good because how their schedule worked. You know what I mean? Because, nobody saw them beating the Titans opening day. That's understandable. But you should have had in your mind that it could happen. So they had a good offensive day. They come back the next week. They should have lost, but the field goal missed at the end. And last week, they messed up everybody's money in the first half. They were probably the most popular first half bet of teams covering because you have this idea the Cardinals have turned that corner, but they really haven't. It's just that the competition isn't good that they're playing against. Now they come in here against the Rams, a team that has owned them. They have not beat the Rams in, I think, 6 years, to be honest with you. And they really haven't beat them in almost 10 in wherever the Rams were at because you have to split it up from St. Louis to LA. And so that should tell you something that this is their kryptonite in the division. And it's not hard for me to take the team that they're calling the best team in all of football. I don't think that they are, but I know one thing. The way they play at SoFi is much different than the way that they play on the road. They play just like the Lakers did when they first moved into Staples Center. Everybody came into Staples getting smoked by 30, at least the first 3-4 months. You know what I mean? Smoked by 30 minimum. So pretty much, and I'm exaggerating. Don't worry, people. Don't get all of your panties in a bunch. But the Lakers beat up everybody who came into Staples early. And I told people this from day one that the Rams were going to be a much better team at home because they're going to have those elements. They're going to have that great stadium, and it's going to pump them up. And I just think that the Cards don't have enough on the defensive end to stick with the Rams at this point. Maybe at the next meeting in Arizona, but right now I think the Rams prove a point here. I'm taking them with the -6. I love it. What are your thoughts, Jeff?
It's a tough game, a divisional game, but in a divisional game, you're going to give me Kyler Murray, D-Hop, and you're going to give me 6, or in our case, 6.5. We bought the hook. Why'd you buy the hook? Well, a missed extra point lands on 6. I'll cash my ticket, and we'll worry about that later. But D-Hop's a little sore. I'm a little worried with Ramsey. D-Hop wasn't a factor last week, but they got the rookie Rondell Moore, Christian Kirk, the fossil AJ Green showing up. They need Chandler Jones and the bookends to put pressure on Goff. Listen, can someone cover Cooper Kupp? Please. He goes 10 yards out. He veers to the left another 5, and he drops it down there for 17, 18 yards. He's leading the NFL. Guys, hello. Cover him, please. Taking the points and praying.
I agree. Cooper Kupp is absolutely amazing, and he's like – his game has went up even more with Stafford as the quarterback. And Stafford hasn't probably had a receiver like this consistent since Calvin Johnson or Golden Tate, because Golden Tate was good with Matt Stafford. He was really good with Matt Stafford. I've been seeing Golden Tate on the Good Morning Football show the last few mornings and everything like that. Like, stop looking at Mary Kay like that.
Oh, Kay's my baby. Oh, my God. I love Kay.
Yeah, stop looking at her like that. Them golden eyes and shit. She'll hypnotize you.
She will.
Yeah, she'll hypnotize you. So let's go ahead and talk about NFL Sunday night. We got our plays out the way. Sunday night football this one's near and dear to Jeff because this is right up his alley right here, boy. I can see the whole Northeast is back and forth. This is dinner table talk. And I think families might be split right now. I think they've divided families in Boston and New Hampshire and things of that nature because you got the Tom people and you got the Bill people. Who's a Robert Kraft person though? That's my question.
Well,
You know what I mean?
listen, listen, Robert Kraft. I think you got to look at it this way. The Patriots draft Garoppolo. It wakes up Tom because Tom was fading. It wakes up Tom. Tom then goes to Bob and says, hey, this guy's got to go. So they tell Bill, you got to ship him. So they ship him to San Fran. Well, the marriage happened again. And who's still there? It's Bill. So Bob put his hat on Bill. So listen, the Mac is not ready. They just got decimated by the Saints and the defense. I don't know if they're holding back the playbook. He's not stretching the field. Okay, so what's the blueprint with the Bucs coming into town? Their defense. You can't run on them. You can't dink and dunk against them. You got to throw it downfield. Just ask Cooper Kupp and Stafford. Well, for 3 games, the Pats haven't done that. So my one question to everyone who's still here is this. Why did Vegas open up the game at 5.5, not 7.5 or 8? Because they wanted the Bucs money. What did ECSI do? We bought the hook. We took the Pats plus the 7. We're praying. I think somehow, some way, this game lands on 4 or 5. 28-24, 28-23. We're taking the 7. The Patriots cannot be as bad as they were last week, and everyone thinks the Bucs don't lose 2 in a row. Tom's 69 yards away from breaking the record. He'll do it in the first quarter. Who the hell knows?
All right, these are my thoughts. Tom Brady, who was it, 18 years in 19 years in New England. And the guy doesn't have to ever pay for a meal ever again in that area. And we all know how near and dear he is to them. But at the same time, though, Bill Belichick doesn't get enough credit for what he created and what he believed in. Tom won a Super Bowl. But if, say this, let's just use this as an example. Say Belichick says when our guy Bledsoe gets healthy again, and he does what any other coach would have did at that time. He throws his guy back in there, the guy that's getting paid to be the starting quarterback. Then we might not get a Tom Brady story. We might have got a Tom Brady story after he leaves and he was good for 3 seasons with the Jets or something. You know what I mean? But no, Bill decided that day or that moment that was going to be his guy because he's working hard to be his quarterback. And we can do more with him because I can coach this guy. Bledsoe, you are all world. So I can only tell you so much. But with Tom, I can coach you. And that's why, I feel like he has to get more credit. And I'm going with the plus 6.5 with the Pats, but I would not steer anybody away who believes in playing a money line. I think that what happens here is the Patriots defensive guys finally who even played with Tom say to themselves, now I get a shot to light him up. And this goes back to when you were yelling and screaming at me in the locker room after we lost that game against the Dolphins. So I remember that day, Tom. So watch out, Tommy. And if they still out there, I'm coming. All right, so let's get to the Monday Night Football game. We've been having a lot of fun today. Show went well over, but still, we're having fun. So we got Monday Night Football, one of the best rivalries in all of football. It goes all the way back to the AFL days, and they've been a part of some of the craziest games in NFL history. And guess what? The Raiders get to walk into their second home, SoFi, because I'm telling you now, Jeff, it's 70-30, if not 75-25% Raider fans. And the Raiders will have the floor. So this is another Raider home game, in my opinion, with the Chargers there. because they have to host it because they pay rent on the stadium, but the Raiders are going to run that day. So I would say this: if I'm the mayor of Los Angeles, let's up the security and the police force around SoFi Stadium because that fight been ugly the last few weeks, and you better expect some big fights coming Monday night. So will the Raiders have enough fight though in this spot? The Raiders coming in here as a dog, and this is the third time three out of four times this year they've been a dog, Jeff, and they're 3-0. So pretty much what I see when we go into this game, I think Derek Carr has himself a day. Derek Carr, freshly minted Offensive Player of the Month, 1,203 passing yards, Jeff, 6 touchdowns to 2 interceptions. You know, interceptions as much as you. Some with Peyton Barber as well too, and if he's going to get past you. So I think that coming off of such an emotional win in Kansas City in a game where and you won it in non-Charger fashion. You didn't let the kicker decide what you were going to do. You let the quarterback decide what you do. They haven't thought of doing stuff like that since Dan Fouts was the quarterback. So, you know, they got the Chargers. That was a good moment, but nobody expected you to win there. This week, everybody's going to be in love with the Chargers, Jeff. I just know it. And what's going to happen is going to bite them in the butt. I think the Raiders win this game by 10 or better. But I'm crazy because I know the game's going to be close. Because the Chargers and Raiders play nothing but close games. But this could be a game where the Raiders can kind of run away with it if they let that SoFi crowd that's going to be on their side pump them up just like the Cowboys did 2 weeks ago. So that's where I'm at. Plus 160 money line.
I can see everything you're saying. I just, there's no doubt about it. And our good friend at the Westgate, John Murray, always says this. His sharp guys come in and they play the Chargers on the road and they bet against them at home. And because there's no home field advantage. But again, I got to look at the open number. It was 3.5. They're minus 190 on the money line. Their last home game, they had 2 touchdowns taken away against Dallas, and they lose the game at the with a field goal by Zerline at the buzzer. Big win in Kansas City. I think we're going to piggyback off of that. The 190 is too steep for us, but we're going to take that. We bought the hook. We're going to take them -3. We hope that they win by 4 or more, but I think the Chargers stay focused. I think they want to win the stadium over, and we like that the whoa, you got us with the Raiders? How about them Raiders, huh?
Yeah. Was it supposed to be the Chargers? If it's the Chargers,
no.
Yeah, Raiders. I'm looking at both of them. Yeah, Raiders.
Right. We got
but you know what? It's gonna be. You're right though. It's gonna be a great game. This is why Monday. That's why they booked it as a Monday night football game, because this is one of the Chargers' more popular games of the year. Because when they play against, say, teams like, I don't know, if you throw somebody like Denver out there. Denver's got a good little base in LA, but it's not going to be the same turnout. This will be more of a Chargers game than anything. And it might not be as popular, but the Cowboys game was fairly popular. That's pretty much guaranteed to sell out. The Raider game guarantees a sellout. So that's why these games got booked for national television spots. So yeah, Chargers, this is a proven ground, and this is going to be a damn good game. But all hail the LA Raiders, forever LA Raiders. You know what I mean?
We're both on the Raiders. Let's go Raiders.
All right. So you guys see what it is right now, man. We gave you guys a good amount of information moving forward about what you do on Sunday. You guys be ready for tonight. It's going to be a doozy in Cincinnati. And hopefully we don't get a blowout this week like we did last week where it got kind of one-sided there in the second half. Jeff, final thoughts.
Yeah, guys, again, it's Sunday. It's week 4 where I would say we're at the quarter pole, but we have an extra week this year. So listen, we're coming into October tomorrow. Enjoy yourself. Be around for October, November, December. Always stay within your means. It's a great card this week, you know. Pick a few games that we both talked about, you know, You don't have to play above your means. That's all that I'm trying to say here. Enjoy the season. Tomorrow's a new day. Next week will be week 5 and so on and so forth. Pick a handful out, spread them around, get yourself some action at 1 o'clock, 4 o'clock, buck yourself up for the 8 o'clock game with the Bucs and the Pats, and then be ready for Monday with the Chargers and the Raiders. Enjoy yourselves.
Yep. You got 16 games to choose from. You don't, and at the end of the day, you don't need them all, too. So, you already know, brother. So, always a pleasure, Jeff.
Always.
Thank you once again. We'll be back next Thursday for week 5. And you guys make sure to keep following the show and keep following the plays. Hey, you might not watch us live, but you got all weekend to do your studying and put yourself in the right position when it comes to winning on Sundays, because that's what we do. We win on Sundays. So with that, this is the NFL Bet Exchange, and I'm your host, the one and only Pop DiBiase, the primetime capper, and my co-host to the right of me, Mr. Jeff Dawson, the Don of Cape Cod, and we'll see you next week with some more hard-hitting action. So you guys are the absolute best, and we bid adieu.
Thank you for tuning in to the NFL Bet Exchange, where the sharpest bets are laid. This show was produced by the Prime Wave Media Group.